Hi YouTube, will this work here? Back again. This time I wanted to run down a list of blogs that I frequent. My last entry was focusing on running down a short list of video blogs that I enjoy, along with giving you a few websites that publish podcasts. Podcast is apparently a word that escaped me in my last entry. But I wanted to add one more to that list. It's a website called The Partially Examined Life. They don't publish video blogs, unfortunately, but they do publish podcasts. It's run by a group of people who, at one time or another, studied philosophy academically and who have rejoined the civilian world, if you will, but who nevertheless maintain an interest or dabble in the topic through their blog. Now, half the time, give or take, they are a regular blog with regular text entries, but they also publish podcasts. Like I said, they focus on, so far as I can tell, they focus on the philosophical study of religion. I know many of you are interested in religion, or at least conversations about religion. So if you are, you're sure to get something out of this site. Recent focus has been on Eastern religion. But like I said, the focus of this entry is to run down a list of blogs that I frequent daily, or at least weekly. Leading the way in this category for me is Marginal Revolution. It's a website run by an economist named Tyler Cohen from George Mason University. And so the focus is primarily economic. Cohen has a free market libertarian view of the world, but if you disagree with that worldview, don't let that stop you from visiting the site, because Cohen. There's another economist that posts there periodically, but more or less it's Tyler Cohen's project. They both are pretty free market oriented, but the tone on the blog, I can't speak for the commenters, but the tone of the bloggers, which is more or less Tyler Cohen most of the time, is civil. He engages his ideological opponents with respect. He's not particularly partisan. And so it's not only about economics either. He pulls together sort of an eclectic collection of links and sources. And so it's a very interesting website. Moving over to the left, Rorty is an interesting website. You're sure to learn a lot about central banking and monetary and fiscal policy from Rorty. I'm not exactly sure where he or how he decided to name his blog, but I would imagine it has something to do with Richard Rorty. So I would love to hear that story. I haven't been able to find that out yet. But sometimes Rorty is a little bit too inside baseball for me. I'm not an economist or an economics major. I do have a strong interest in the topic, but sometimes I find that side a little inaccessible. But staying on the left for a minute, at least the center left, Economist View is a site I find to be a little more accessible and not so narrowly focused just on issues of banking or monetary fiscal policy also. Um, and so that's an interesting source. Moving back over to the right, The Money Illusion by Scott Summer is an interesting site. It's not too far to the right also, particularly when you talk about what we're going through right now and the sort of debates about fiscal and monetary stimulus. It's not particularly right wing. I think if you take the long view, Scott Summer has a view that would be described as right wing, but I've learned most of what I know about central banking and interest rates and the tools available to the Federal Reserve through Scott Summers' website. Economics blog with an X on the end. It's a baby of the New York Times, and have a diverse group of economists who post there. That's an interesting site. It's probably ecumenical, not particularly partisan, I don't think. So moving on from economics, I would say Killing the Buddha is an interesting site. Another site that has to do with religion. It's run by people who profess to have an aversion to churches, but I don't believe you have to share that aversion to get something from the content on the website. Psyblog, Psy blog is how that's spelled, of course. Has some very interesting entries on human psychology. Motivated Grammar is a website that sort of takes on the sort of sanctimonious, preachy correction of grammar that we sometimes see in life, and it does it in a very entertaining way. Um, the Opinionator blog is also a New York Times creation. I ran across this blog because of my interest in what Stanley Fish has to say. He posts there periodically, and he pretty much keeps me coming back, if you want to be honest. But there have been I have read a few interesting entries by people other than Stanley Fish on the Opinionator blog. Let's see, Music Pitchfork is probably my number one source. Yes, yes, y'all is also a very interesting site for music. Pardon me one second. Sorry about that. I have ADD, so I'm kind of all over the place. I think that's probably it. Blogging Heads, if I want to sort of declare a favorite in both categories, Blogging Heads leads the way for me in video blogs, even if we were to include all the blogs with podcasts. Um, but regular blogs, Marginal Revolution is the one I find myself going back to day after day. Of course, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, it's not a blog, but if we're going to get into websites in general, it's just an excellent source for surveying a philosophical topic that you're not particularly familiar with. But it's not exactly a blog. It's not a book either. It's somewhere in between, wading through a long book and getting the quick and the dirty from a blog. So I think that does it. So please respond in the comments or through video response and tell me about the blogs that you can't stay away from, be they video blogs, podcasts, or old-fashioned blogs, and we can enrich one another's internet experience. Thanks.